Now, this whole thing makes up what we call the what? Nucleus. Do you see it now? You see it now? So nucleus is membranous. The nucleolus is non-membranous. What is the essence of the nucleolus? The function of the nucleolus is to produce what we call the rRNA. That is ribosomal ribonucleic acid. Take notes. Ribosomal ribonucleic acid. So this nucleolus is responsible for producing some parts that forms the what? The ribosome. It's responsible for producing the parts that form the what? Ribosome. That's how we call it rRNA, meaning ribosomal ribonucleic acid. Sorry, this A is a capital letter, not small letter. Okay, so are you seeing it now? So this is ribosomal ribonucleic acid. So the nucleus is found at the center of the cell. Is that clear? Inside of the nucleus, you have what we call another little nucleus. That little nucleus is what we call nucleolus. This nucleolus is responsible for providing some parts of the ribosome, some parts that forms the ribosome. And it does that with the production of what we call ribosomal ribonucleic acid. Do you see it now? That is the function of this nucleolus. That's what I can tell you now. I don't want to go beyond that. But know that the nucleolus is what? Is a little nucleus. Okay? Found inside of the what? The nucleus. Enclosed inside the nucleus. Why the nucleus itself has a membrane, which we call the nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane is permeable, which means allowing substance to move in and out between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. So this is the cytoplasm. In the previous video, I have explained what the cytoplasm is all about. So I'm using this diagram to explain the various components. Do you understand what I'm doing now? Now, I haven't done that now. I mentioned ribosome, so let me explain ribosome quickly. Ribosome, now let me not use this one. So ribosome can be found somewhere in another direction. I can put, okay, ribosome is somewhere here. Okay. So this is ribosome. It's a tiny granule. Okay. The very essence, the ribosome is a tiny granule that is found inside of the cytoplasm. Okay. The very function of the ribosome is to synthesize protein. To synthesize, the word synthesize. Synthesize protein. Synthesize means to produce, to manufacture. That's the meaning. So this is the ribosome. Are you with me? Now, having done that, the ribosome is responsible for synthesizing protein. So this is what we call the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So let me write this one out. Rough endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum. I told you that the rough endoplasmic reticulum transverses or passes across the what? The nuclear membrane in relation to the cytoplasm and generally to the cell. So what does it do? It carries ribosome. So it is the presence of the ribosome on the endoplasmic reticulum that makes it a rough endoplasmic reticulum. While this other one without the presence of ribosome forms what we call smooth endoplasmic plasmic reticulum. Are you seeing what I'm doing now? So it gives you smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Around this structure here, we have a rod-shaped structure. Follow me. Around there, you have a rod-shaped structure. These structures are thrown into food inside of it. And then around the region where they are thrown into food, they have some liquid that forms a matrix. This food is called, the structure is called mitochondria. Now, this structure that is thrown into food is called cristae. Okay? Now, this other jelly-like substance, liquid inside, is called matrix. Okay? Now, in the mitochondria, first of all, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. The essence of the mitochondria is where energy is produced in the form of ATP. ATP in the form of ATP. This ATP is known as adenosine triphosphate. Okay, write that down fast because I want to clean. So it's known as what? adenosine triphosphate. That's the form. Okay, so I've written that. Now, this matrix, this is where what we call Krebs cycle and electron transport chain takes place in the matrix. Krebs cycle and electron transport chain takes place. Why the crystal is the point where enzymes are released or are produced. Is that clear? Just hold that. Now, so we've talked about the mitochondria, the function of the mitochondria, the various parts you can see in the mitochondria. We've talked about the ribosome. We've talked about the cytoplasm. We've talked about the nucleus. Now, in the nucleus, I told you it contains nucleolus. I've explained that to you. And I also told you it contains nuclear membrane. The nucleus is a membranous structure, but the nucleolus is not a membranous structure. Is that clear? And also know that there is what we call chromatin, which you can call chromosome. It is in this chromosome that you have what we call the DNA or the gene. We call it DNA or the gene. That is the material, the threads carried by the cell. This is what controls all the activity. So the nucleus controls every activity of the what? Of the cell of that organism. The nucleus is responsible. For example, the nucleus will determine the kind of cells that will be formed in that organism. Whether the organism will be a sight cell found in the eyes, whether it will be an hormonal secretion cell, okay, whether it's going to be a cell that will be an epithelial cell, depending on what the nucleus wants that cell to do. So the command is coming from this center, which is this. Now, I want you to know something, that in a cell, the chromosome becomes visible during cell division. The chromosome becomes visible during cell division. And this visibility occurs at the prophase stage. Visibility of the chromosome occurs at the what? Prophase stage. Okay? That's when the chromosome becomes visible. Okay? But the stage which it is latent, it does not, nothing is happening, is called interphase. Interphase. Okay? So when we talk about mitosis, the phases in growth, as the case may be, mitotic division, you look at IPMAT, interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase, as the case may be. So, by so doing, we've been able to break down what this looks like. Then there are other things we need to look at here too. Look at this, around this place here. Here, you look at some structure. It's called oil. What? Oil globules. Globules. This oil globules, I told you earlier on that it is called what? Inclusions. Ignore the time, because this is a breakdown of entirely what the whole thing look like. So this thing is called oil globules, which means inclusion. Okay. Then around there, you have what we call a saucer-shaped structure that is involved in packaging. A saucer-shaped structure. Let me spell the saucer. Saucer. S-A. A saucer-shaped structure that is involved in packaging. Okay. This structure, glycosylation takes place in this structure. Glycosylation takes place in this structure. What's that structure? It's called Golgi body. Okay. So you have Golgi body around there. You can have it this way. So let me find where to try. In biology, you're not supposed to cross this way, okay? Just because of the board. You're supposed to one side. So I'm trying to manage as the case may be. So you have Golgi body. Golgi what? Body. You see it now. Then there's another structure again. Very tiny structure like this. That structure, maybe I will label it. Let me try and see if I can get it here. This structure is called lysosome. Lysosome.